Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to work on part 2 of putting together my Dubai and Doha and Abu Dhabi album that I started in my previous video. If you missed that one, I suggest you go see that one first. I will link it in the description box below. Otherwise, let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so let's start with where I stopped off on the last video. So I did decorate the outside of the album. The inside did get some ink on it, so I'm thinking I'm probably going to want to do something to finish this, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I have my title page here, and then on the back of that is this map with kind of my overall itinerary. And then I'm going to go into, before I get into Doha, I'm going to do a travel page. So I have this jet set tag, and what I want to do is a spread about the travel. So this was the longest I've ever flown, like the furthest flight I'd ever been on. I'm definitely going to be on some longer ones that I already have booked. I'm just kind of playing around with some products here. So I want to do some kind of journaling about the travel itself. I'm thinking I might do like a collection of tags. I'm also going to look through my ephemera here. So I have my ephemera. This is from Doha and this is from Dubai. And I'm going to just look through here and find some stuff that has to do with the actual travel and see what I can create for a page for here. So I'm going to do that part first. And I'm going to see if there's any other photos I want to print. I might use part of this digital. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and look through here, pull out what I want, and then I might pop onto the computer and then come back and see kind of where I am and check in with you guys then. Okay, so I brought you guys over to the computer with me to show you a little bit about how I am organizing my album and working on it both digitally and physically. So I'm going to go through a little bit of how I'm organizing my photos and selecting photos in a little bit later in this video, but first I'm showing you kind of how I'm setting up this page. So I've created a canvas here that is 14 inches across by 8¼ tall, so that is a 2-page spread outside the page protector in my 6x8 album, so each page is 7 by 8¼ And I'm using the drag to drag grid lines to put my margins. The one in the center is splitting the 2 pages. And then I've buffered that with 1 inch on each side because I know I need to punch holes. And then I'm creating a border because I don't want to type too close to the edge of the page. And then you saw those tags on my desk that I wanted to include on the left-hand side of this page. So I left space for them. And that's what those grid lines are kind of designating, is how wide those tags are, so I know where to type. And then I'm going ahead and typing my story here. This is my journaling for the travel to Doha. This was a very long flight. We had a pretty long journey to get there. It was not only was it a very long flight, nearly, I think it was 12 hours. It was also an 8-hour time difference into the future. So that is a big change. And so I was journaling about all of that entire process on this first page. I am deciding to include all of my travel in this one spread rather than include the travel in chronological order in my album. When creating a travel album, I tend to do things chronologically, and you'll see that I am going to do that for the majority of my stories. But sometimes I like to group things by theme rather than chronological, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm putting all of the travel stories together in one spread, even though some of them happen in the beginning, some happen at the end, and some in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and save this document and I will print it out. The last thing I'm going to do on my computer before going back to my desk is look through some of the photos that I have related to travel, because I'm considering which ones I want to print and how I want to include them on this page. I did use my favorite photo from the window of the plane as my opening page. But you can see I have a few photos here of my passport. I have some photos of the airport, and I have another photo out of the window of my airplane. I considered typing on top of that photo in white. I thought that would look really cool, but I decided against it, and I don't think I end up using that photo in the end. Okay, so I went onto my computer, and what I did was I mapped out in Photoshop my full page spread, which is 14 by 8.25. And you saw me kind of playing around here with some of the pieces I have, and I was thinking about how I wanted this one to look. And I kind of came to an idea on this side, and I'm not entirely sure on the right side. My printer's making noises, sorry. So I'm gonna move this stuff all out of the way. I printed my typed journaling here, and I meant to print grid marks to know where to crop it, but I didn't. So what I need to do is crop this down to 7 by 8.25 with this where I want it to be. So I want an inch from the journaling, so I can just measure. And it's much easier if you print this with the grid lines of where to crop it. Unfortunately, I messed that up. That's okay. I think this will be fine. So I'm just, part of it's kind of just eyeballing here, but let's see. We got to get this to 8.25 height. And I printed this on Epson matte photo paper. It's like super thin. This is my favorite photo paper, and I will link this down below. But this is what I use for non-photos. And see, I probably would have preferred that to be down a little further, but that's okay. Maybe I can balance it with something, some washi or something like that. Okay, so here's my page, and assuming I did that right, yep, it's gonna fit perfectly on the back of this map. I'm gonna put those out of the way for now. And here's my plan for this one is I'm gonna do like a cluster of tags down here, maybe just these two. Probably some washi across the bottom, and then I'm gonna stamp here. So I need to look at what stamps I have, but this is essentially journaling about our travel day and kind of the flight. So it's an 11-hour and 30-minute flight. I think I'm gonna stamp maybe like the airport codes on here or something like that. And then I wanna do some stamping here for a title. And then let's see, for the washi, I could do some washi. So one of the things I like to do in a travel album is do the same things, use some of the same things throughout. So I already used this washi on the map page. So this is a good washi to kind of pull from, but I might want to have a few others that, like this one is from the Coffee Monster Co. And you got these like little emoji guys on a world map here. I love this washi. I should have bought 2 rolls, but I think I want something else that's a little more like colorful than that and maybe not travel themed. So I'm gonna go look in some of my other washi tapes. So I have this one with just these little guys on it. Again, it's got like little emojis, but the color fits pretty well. So I like that one. I also have this one, which is like a newsprint, which for whatever reason, I think the colors go. And then I'm gonna pull out my like more colored ones, just like, these are more like solid colors. And I'm gonna just bring over some of these papers, see if I can find something that kind of coordinates. I do like bringing in the gold. Ooh, I have this star one, and there's this star paper, and that kind of goes pretty well. So I'm gonna bring that one for sure. Just looking through more of these colored ones I have. These are like my metallics. I don't think I want that. And then here's like multicolor and neutrals. Can maybe bring some of these neutrals. And you know I'm always using my white washi on things. I never use this one. It's like camping though. Yeah, I don't think that one will go. Even though the colors go, I don't know that the theme is good for this. And then I have this one. Also very good colors for this. So I think I'm gonna bring those. That doesn't mean I will use them all. I'm wondering if I should also pull out like a black. There is definitely black in this. So I'm gonna pull those out as options. And then I think I want to do a strip of washi just across the bottom because when I cut that, it wasn't super even. So I'm thinking the stars for this one actually. Okay, so now the next thing I need to do is pick an alpha set. So I think I want to stamp here like let's go on an adventure. So I need a stamp set that's small enough that I could fit the word adventure across here. And I want one that I can use kind of throughout the album. Yeah, so I like that. That's very cute. So I'm gonna go pull out some of my alphas and find one to work with. Okay, so I pulled a couple stamp sets. I think this one, so this one's narrower. This is an older one from Kelly Perky. I think this is gonna be perfect for doing the airport codes on here. And then this one, I think, hoping I can write the word adventure across there. So I'm gonna see if I can do it in all caps by just laying them out. And I don't stamp them all on the same block because I like to kind of put them a little closer than that, but I'm just gonna see how far off it is. And this looks like it's not gonna fit. Yeah, caps is not gonna work. Maybe I should just do this one. Okay, so I decided to go with this narrower font because I feel like the bigger one just wasn't going to fit in this space and it was going to look too crowded. I am going to probably try to bring in a different font in other areas in the album to have something that's a little bit bigger, but I thought this one worked really well. It seems to coordinate with the jet language on that tag, the jet set, and it just fits. So what I decided to do was write out, let's go halfway around the world. So you could see me trying to write out different things to kind of figure out which one was going to fit the best. And then I decided to try my stamping platform, and I scrapped that idea pretty quickly because my page was a little too big to fit in there. It wasn't going to put it by the side as much as I wanted, and I was kind of nervous that it was going to mess up. I don't use the stamping platform that much, so I'm not as good with it. Instead, I decided to just kind of tape some white scratch paper onto my paper, like just temporarily, to make sure I was stamping straight. And I wasn't too concerned about the stamp not sticking because these are pretty small stamps and this is a fresh stamp pad. So I figured I would get good coverage. I was mostly concerned about getting the letters straight and getting them spaced properly. So I did use a pencil to add some dots on the edge to make sure that I had the right amount of space for each line of my text. Okay, so I went over to my stash and grabbed a selection of word phrase strips that I'm going to pull from for this entire album. So I'm just going to put these with my supplies for this album and use them throughout the album. I want to try to use up a couple of these ones. I pulled some colors that go with the colors I'm using. I pulled some that have travel themes like this one, which I'm going to just go ahead and stick this guy right here by plain, which was kind of why I wanted to grab these now, because I wanted to just add something on here. And let's see, let's add going too. Like, there we go. And I just want it to be lined up a little like that. There we go. So I think, other than getting like a little bit of smudge on here, which is the problem when you're using white paper, it's always going to get a little smudgy, especially with stamping. Okay, so I think this page looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere it back to back with this one so I can punch the holes and get it in the album. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about these smudges on this album. I kind of wanted to leave it white, but I don't think that's gonna work, especially this stuff. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm just gonna start putting stuff in the album just so I can like build this album, put this album together and make sure these holes fit. This one's good. I think this page might need a little loosening. I'm gonna pull this out. And these are moving not super smoothly because these holes are so small. I feel like they need to be punched just slightly bigger. So I'm thinking I might use my bigger hole punch. So I want this to be a spread, and I had pulled this one. I'm thinking I want to pair this with a pocket to put some of these like travel things and actually make a few more things to go inside here. I initially had this, but I don't love the colors with it. So I'm going to see what else. And I was thinking maybe this one. Well, there's also this tag one, which is really pretty, but I'm going to put a pocket. So a lot of it's going to be covered up. So I want more of like a pattern. I don't want to use like this one because I'm going to use that elsewhere. This one is going to be covered. I also have these papers from this collection that are slightly too short, but I think I can make it work. Ooh, that one's really pretty. And I need a vellum. So there's also this one. This travel collection. Again, that one's probably needs to be somewhere where it's not fully covered. And I had pulled over some other papers from my stash. A lot of these are that same collection. So I like this stripe, which is not from this collection, but the colors go really well. Or this one, if I wanted it to be less bright. So I think I need to figure out what vellum I'm going to use first. So I could do a patterned vellum on top of a more neutral. Or I could go with the pattern with like a white vellum, which I think that's the way to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my pocket, and then I'll figure out what's gonna go inside of the pocket. So I just want to share, I cut this one off because the color just doesn't go, but the rest of these look good with it. Okay, so you're seeing after I built the pocket, I'm going through all of the ephemera and all of the products to see what I want to put in this pocket. I want a pocket full of tags that are going to document all of the travel. So I put some of my plane tickets in there. I'm bringing out some tags that are in the kit or my kit that I put together. And then I'm going to move over to the computer and talk you through that a little bit before I finish up this pocket. So the first thing I did on my computer, here you can see all of my photos. These were originally edited using the Color Story app, and when I came home from Dubai and Doha, I went through my photos, selected my favorite ones, and edited all of those. I did save all of the photos I took, but I'm not going to actually go through them at this point. I edited using a Color Story to have, color filters and everything the way that I like it. All of my photos that I deemed favorites. Now what I'm doing is I'm creating folders for each day. And so the first thing I want to say before I do this is I created a new folder on my computer for this album. And I duplicated all of my favorite photos, the ones that I had edited from my photos where I saved my photos into these folders for this project. So these are all duplicates because what I'm going to do is as I add them in my album, I'm just going to delete the digital photo. But I'm not actually deleting it because I have them all saved in a separate folder for just where I save my photos. This is a folder just for making this album. I am organizing these photos based on the day because that is how I'm going to organize them in my album. So you can see me going through my photos from Doha and dragging and dropping them into the folders for each specific day. So I'm just going through quickly and I don't need to share the entire process with you, but you'll see just kind of how I'm sorting them. I know what happened each day. I can kind of remember, so I don't really need to look that much at my notes, but that was really what I was doing there. Now I'm creating a new folder for travel photos, and I'm going to put all of the photos that were just specifically travel into that folder because that is what I'm documenting in this current spread. I'm not doing, the specific cities yet. I will come back to that. That's why I just organized them so I don't have to worry about it. But here I'm just looking through all of the photos that I had, and I'm looking through both cities just to get all of the travel related ones. So I have a few photos from the airport. I have some photos from the travel, and those are all going into that specific folder. Now I'm going to work on figuring out what I want to print to go into that pocket. So I am going to obviously print some of my photos and some text, but I also thought it would be fun to put like a little passport in there. So I just Google image searched a photo of the front of a US passport because that's what I have. And I found one that was pretty high resolution. I could have probably scanned the cover of mine if I couldn't find one to use as a photo, but I thought this would work. And so I just saved one from the internet. I saved a couple, and see, that one was a little too small. This one worked fine. So what I'm going to do is I brought it into my canvas. So this is a canvas that's 8.5 by 11, which is the size of the paper I print on. And I'm just going to put everything on it as a print page and then print it out. So I'm resizing this passport photo that I grabbed from the internet to be the size I want it to be in my pocket. So I have off my computer to the side of me my actual pockets, and I was using a ruler to decide how big I wanted this. And you could see I resized it using the toolbar across the top. I use Photoshop, and if you're using Photoshop Elements or Canva, you can probably do very similar things, just maybe not do exactly what I'm doing. So that's completely fine. This is just how it works in my Photoshop interface. And I am really not a good Photoshop teacher. I never took any classes or anything. I just kind of figure things out as I go. So this is something I do pretty frequently though, where I resize images, and I messed up there, but you have to resize it to the inches that you want to make sure that it's the size you want it to be printed. And I do this same technique for printing photos to put in my journal and in my scrapbooks or whatever I'm going to do. This is how I organize it. So I'm also going to look through these other photos that I took and see what I want to include. I know I want this photo of my Starbucks. This was in the airport on the way home, and it was the beginning of Ramadan. It hadn't quite started yet. I think it was like 2 days before Ramadan, but Starbucks had Ramadan cups, which I thought were super cute. And it was really awesome to see because I've never seen that before. And I wanted to capture that in my album. So you can see I used the marquee tool there to kind of resize this photo or change the dimensions to fit with what I need in my pocket. And so I just organized it on the page. And then I'm going to see what else I want to print. And it is kind of hard, I guess, for the video to share how these are going to come together, but you'll see it at my desk after I print. But while I'm doing this, I do have those tags on my desk and I'm pulling out my ruler and I'm measuring everything and trying to decide what I want to include. So I wanted to include one of these photos of the airport in Doha. The airport there is really neat looking. You can see they have like this atrium, and I just wanted to capture one of these photos. So I'm again bringing it in here. I'm going to resize it to the size I want and just type in the inches that I want it to be. And if I need to change the dimensions, I can also do that using the marquee tool like I did before, but I'm going to just stick it with those dimensions. You also could just print it out and crop it down with your trimmer if you didn't want to worry too much about getting the right dimensions while in the program. I'm going to work on some text. So I opened a new document, and that's because the first print page document are photos that are going to be printed on photo paper. This is going to be printed on clear sticker paper. So I opened a new 8.5 by 11 sheet, and I'm using the guide marks to create a box to measure out where I want my text to be. So I'm just pulling these into here, and then I'm going to create a text box. And here I'm going to journal about our travel. I believe this is the journal about our travel home. So that's our travel, the journaling I did earlier in this video about there. So here I just wanted to match the font size. So that's why I went back to that other document. And I'm just going to type out my journaling about our travel home from Dubai. Actually, I think this is actually the travel home. And so the travel home was a really long flight. I think it was a 14.5-hour flight, and it was just a lot, and an 9-hour time difference from Dubai to New York. So I'm journaling about that and just going to type it all out before I finish up this page. I'm not going to print out the sticker paper yet because I don't have enough to fill the sheet, but I will as I continue working on my album, and eventually I will print them out and add them into my album. Okay, so I'm back at my desk. I printed out some photos. So my plan for everything in this pocket, I'm going to document all of the travel on this one spread. So this is our travel to get there. But I also want to document our travel home, and we had a travel day in the middle between our two destinations that I'm going to document in this spread as well. I decided to do it this way to kind of save on space in the album because this is a 6x8 album, and I'm trying to fit 2 weeks in it. And that's, I have a lot of photos from my destinations that I want to include. So I don't really need a ton of space for the travel stuff because obviously like the travel photos just aren't as important, I guess you would say, or as pretty, but I still wanted this to be included in the album. So I'm breaking this has to be chronological rule because there is no rule. And I'm putting this just in the order that I want it to be. So I'm just going to trim these. I'm trimming these down here, and then I'll talk through them a little bit. So I kind of went through what I wanted to include in this pocket. And you guys saw I adhered these 2 tickets back to back, and those are just going to go in there like that. Those are actually my tickets home because I did have a layover. Then I have this one, which this is going to document the adventure home, so coming home. And I put this on the back because we did rent a car, but I don't need this bottom part. So I'm going to cover it up with this photo of my Starbucks at the airport, which I wanted to document because they had Ramadan cups, which they don't do that here. We get Christmas cups, but we don't get Ramadan ones. And the Ramadan one was very pretty. So I just wanted to put that here. So there we go. And then I'm going to do some journaling here. I typed that up, which you saw on the computer. I didn't print it yet because I'm going to print it on sticker paper, and I don't want to waste a full sheet of sticker paper. So I typed a couple of things on there, and I will come back and add them in place once I have enough to print. So that's going to be like that. Then I have this one, I have one more ticket. This is my ticket there on the way there, and they did tear the piece off. And I thought it'd be fun, so I just went on Google Images and found the front of a passport, of a US passport, because that's what I have, and printed that because I thought that would be a fun kind of image to include in here. So what I'm gonna do is adhere this on the back of this and then just trim the ticket to match. It's gonna cut off like the barcode, but that's fine, I don't need that. And honestly, you don't need any of the ticket, it's just fun to have it. And so I'm just gonna adhere this down, trim it out. It's an extra piece in this pocket. There we go. So then I had a couple more things. So I have this tag, and I have a third travel day because there was a travel between my two destinations. So I want to use this to document that. And I think I'm going to stamp on here the 2 airport codes again, because I did that there. And what I really need is some sort of like thing in between them, but I'll see what I have. Let me just do these first. So we have DOH, which stands for Doha. DXB for Dubai's airport code. So again, I typed this up to go on sticker paper, to go on the back. Now this one I could just print on plain white, but I was trying to do that sticker paper. And I have this because my journaling is not going to take the full thing. I'm thinking I might put this guy on here and then put the sticker paper on top of it. I'm not sure yet, so I'm going to just kind of leave that. And then I have this tag, and I printed this photo of the Dubai air, or the Doha airport. And the last one I had was this tag, and I was thinking of putting it on the outside here. Okay, there we go. So I think this is good. I'm gonna adhere this when I print those stickers, and I'm thinking I'll probably put some like ribbon on these, but I'm not gonna do that right this second. I'll come back to that. Now I'm gonna move on to Doha. So this is gonna be my opening page for Doha. this. And so I need to do the title on here, and I need to do one of these for each city. I already printed half of Abu Dhabi's. I haven't printed Dubai's at all yet. I need to select a photo. But I also need to make my title. So I think what I'm gonna do is use the alphas that they have in this collection I'm using, in the Ali Edwards collection, because I do have the digitals. And I'm gonna print this on vellum to put on top of each of these photos as my initial photo for the city. So I need to move over to my computer now, make those, print those, and then I'm gonna get started on the actual substance of each city. Now, what I already planned was I was gonna use these tags to designate each day. And I do have like this section here on the first one that's, I'm probably either gonna do like the hotel information or something like that, because I don't have like a half day or anything. And then, so I need to figure out how I'm gonna do these. So I'm probably gonna work on these and do kind of like maybe stamping on the front and like a photo or something. And on the back, I know I took a photo each day of like my outfit, so I might put those photos on the back of these. I'm not entirely sure, we'll see. But what I'm gonna do first is create these titles for these cover pages. And then I will work on laying out what my plan is for each city. Some of it is going to be a formula, some of it is not. So I will kind of talk through what my plan is for that and get started. Okay, so back at my desk, I edited these on the computer and printed them on vellum. So I'm gonna cut them out and put on each of these initial spreads for the country or the city. So the first one is gonna be Doha. So what I'm gonna do now, before I even start working on cutting those out, I'm gonna start working on printing, editing photos, and doing my Doha section. So basically what I need to do, I'm gonna move all my washi tape. I have all this washi here, and I have more space on my desk than you guys can see. So I have like some stuff off camera. I'm just gonna move some of these scraps though. If you guys have watched me craft before, you know I tend to pile up mess as I go, but I'm trying to clean up enough so I have some space. Okay, so I know I want to use these tags to separate my days, the first day. So I'm gonna have something here about like the hotel or something, and then I'll do day one. And let's see, so here's my Hobonichi cousin. So I have day one, day two, day three. So I need 3 of these for Doha. And I think what I'm gonna do is stamp on here, like Doha day 1, day 2, day 3. And I might need to pick a different stamp set because this one doesn't have numbers and it's kind of small, which is fine. I can do something bigger on these. I don't need to use the exact same stamp all the way through. I didn't buy the stamp that matches this. I just have the digital, so I'm gonna use something else, which is fine because I'm using this with the color, and so if I was stamping it black, it wouldn't really coordinate anyways. So what I'm gonna do to start is go through, I'm gonna move this stuff out of the way. I'm gonna do day 1, day 2, and day 3, but I'm going to use my ephemera to kind of make a pile for each day and figure out what I need to include. So let's put a sticky note here on each of my tags because I have not yet decorated the tags, and label these. And then using this, I'm going to kind of just make a quick note of where we went. Okay, so I just made a quick list of what we did each day, so I kind of have an idea of what is going to be covered on in that area. And then here's all of my ephemera that's left from Doha. I pulled it out of my large plastic envelope here. And what I'm going to do is just go through these and sort it. So this is just a Doha sticker I purchased, so that could be any day. And this is my hotel. This is also the metro, could be any day, but we did write it on the first time that day. This is paper from burgers. That was on day 2. Hotel. Here's some Metro passes. You can kind of just split those up. This was from ice cream. Let's see, when did we do this one? This was day 3. That's a receipt that isn't even readable yet anymore. So this was a restaurant we went to. This was on Thursday. And this was just like shopping, and I don't even know what day this was. So this could be any day. I'm gonna put that over there. This is another Metro map. This is more Metro stuff. I already cut some of these up. And then this is the hotel stuff. So that gives me just like a basic, what I should use on each day here. Day 3, day 2, day 1. I think what I'm gonna do is do the Metro stuff in day 1 and not put it in the other days, but because I don't think I rode the Metro on day 3. I think we just took Ubers and we did both a mix on these 2 days we took the Metro. So I'll probably just do it on this day. I don't need to document it multiple times. This one is definitely going to be the busiest day because we saw the most. But what I'm going to do is kind of figure out how I want to include these things. So really on day 1, the only things I have, I probably will include this on day 1 because I did also buy that on day 1. And I have these Metro maps. I'm thinking I'm going to use one of these to like actually just put out include the entire Metro map and have it so you can like do a fold out, which I think would be pretty cool. And then I don't know that I need to include all 3 of them. And I think I actually cut stuff off of both of these. Yeah, it looks like I've cut ephemera off of these because I did do my journal first. Yes, so I've already cut pieces off of both this one and this one. So I'm just gonna put those to the side in case I need more. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go on my computer. I'm going to go through my photos and edit them and kind of get a feel for what layouts I want. So I think I wanna do like the first page is going to be just like the hotel and where we stayed. So I have that stuff for that, but then move this out of the way. The other thing I wanted to go through before I go back to my computer are ephemera. Or not ephemera, the supplies. So I do have a few supplies here that are more, what's the word? These can be cut down, but more like statement pieces. Like this one is a statement piece. This one is a statement piece. These 2 maybe, but they're more decorative. This one is definitely a statement piece. This one I feel like is a good like base to build something on. This one I'm thinking I'm probably gonna cut like the Burj Khalifa off of that for the day I do that, but that is for Dubai. This one, I'm not sure if I'm gonna use this because this works better in a 10x8 size. You could definitely cut it down, but that is definitely a statement one if I do use it. And this is a statement one, but I know I'm using it the last day or the end to end the album. And then I also have this I want to remember. So I want to keep these in mind. I'm thinking, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I have 3 days here. And then I have 4 days in Dubai and 1 Abu Dhabi. So that's kind of like 1 each. I could come up with 1 more statement piece from my stash. I do also have these like larger words that I could use and stuff. So I want to keep this in mind when kind of designing my pages. But what I'm going to do is work on day 1 first and like printing all of the stuff. And I'm also going to kind of figure out my formula for these tags because I am going to do a formula for those. But besides that, I don't think I'm going to do much of a formula. I am going to use some divided page protectors just to get more photos in, but I don't want it to be like too bulky of an album. This is the second half of Doha, and I did print these, so I'm gonna fussy cut those and stick them on here, and then I'm gonna build a page on the back here. So this is going to be my kind of lead into Doha, which starts with my tag and day one. So what I decided to do was I'm gonna do something for the hotel. So I printed these photos. Let me just crop these out. So what I decided I'm going to do, and I'll come back to that photo, this photo of me in a moment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a page here about the hotel and kind of where we stayed. So it's just going to go on the back of this. So I'm going to get a piece of white cardstock, because what I'm going to do, I printed these two photos. This is our hotel room and this is in the hotel lobbies. So this is the chic, and I'm not sure who the other one is. Might be his father. I think that's the sheik and his dad, who is like the previous sheik. So that's sort of the ruler of their country, and had their pictures in the lobby, which I thought was really neat. So I took that picture, and then I also have this picture just of my hotel room. So I wanted to do a page about that. So I had a few items from the hotel. One of them was this coaster, and I also have the room key and this. So I'm gonna do another pocket. And what I did was I typed up my journaling to go on here, and it's gonna be on a circle. So this I'm gonna put a tab on and put this in a pocket. And I haven't decided yet how I'm gonna make the pocket, but I think this is just gonna be a white background rather than using some of the patterned paper. And I might put this in the pocket too, just to have like the room key. And then I have, this was like the bag tag from the hotel. So I think I might put that like on the pocket. So what I'm gonna do is grab some white cardstock and put this together. Again, I didn't print this journaling because I'm waiting to fill up that page, but when I do that, I will add my clear sticker paper everywhere. But I do want to find a tab in my stash, so I'm going to add that onto this and create my pocket. And then I'm going to move on to my tags. So I'm going to just make this page and get this kind of started and get this Doha page, the title, put on here before I come back and kind of figure out exactly how I'm going to work the tag and day one. Okay, so now that I have set up the first part of the album, I'm ready to go into day one of Doha. So now I have somewhat of a formula. I'm gonna have day 1, 2, and 3. Then I will do my opening page to Dubai. And then I will do days 1 through 4 of Dubai. And then I'll do my opening page to Abu Dhabi and my day in Abu Dhabi. So I'm starting with day 1 in Doha. And so I have some ephemera for this. That's gonna be part of the day. And I'm starting with a tag. So I put the sticky note here you guys saw to kind of highlight what happened this day. And what I decided to do is, if you followed me on Instagram while I was traveling, I took a selfie at the morning each day of my outfit of the day. And I think I'm gonna start the day with that on the back of the tag. And then the front of the tag, I'm going to stamp using this alpha number set, the city, and then day number, whatever it is. And then I think I want to put some stuff down here. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this portion up, and then I will figure that out because I want to get one tag done, and then I will probably do the remaining tags in kind of like an assembly line fashion. But I'm going to start with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and put you guys again on voiceover or music and start this one. Okay, so I have the start of my tag here. I did my stamping. I don't love that the number set and the letter set are not the same size, but they were the same font, and it was the closest one I could find in my stash that I thought would work for the size I was going for. I put the date stamp, and then on the back I have my outfit photo. I did punch the hole. I think I'm probably gonna come back and do like thread in a lot of these like tags, but I'm probably gonna do that towards the end. What I think I want to do is put like a label here that's going to show the weather, our meals for the day, and maybe our itinerary or a little like summary of the day. I'm not sure yet, but I think what I'm going to do is move over to the computer and set something up that will go here and make one for every day so that I can just print those and go ahead and get them all put together. And then it's going to go into day 1. So what I'm going to do before I go to the computer is I also wanted to kind of talk through these. So like I said, for each day, I'm going to somewhat follow, I'm not really going to follow a formula. I'm following a formula for starting the day with my tag. And then within my day, I'm going to do things differently depending on which day it is. Okay, so depending on what day it is, I want to kind of format my days based on the products, the photos, the ephemera, and that type of thing, as opposed to so much of following a formula. I also know some days are way more photo heavy than others, and that's going to be okay. Day 1 in Doha was very photo heavy. So I have these papers, and like I said, I have 8 days worth to do because I'm not counting my travel days, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 papers here. I think I want to come up with more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find 8 papers from my stash that can be like jumping off points or foundations for pages. And I'm going to put one for each day. Okay, so I went over to my stash and I figured out, so I've got 9 options. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 papers. I only have 8 days, so one of these is going to get cut, but I thought it was good to have options. So essentially, I'm going to use one of these as a jumping off point for one of my spreads per day, in addition to doing other supplies and things from the kit and focusing with the photos. But I wanted to just kind of use some of these kind of jumping off point papers. So now what I'm going to do is head over to the computer and figure out how I want to do my tags. Okay, so it's been a couple days since I worked on this, but I finished all of these tags. So I did them kind of in an assembly line. So you saw me do the first ones for Doha, and then I decided to put the 4 Dubai ones next, even though there's a day in between here. And then I did the Abu Dhabi one. So I have 1 photo per day of my outfit, and the front has a little fact sheet. So I did take photos every morning of my outfit in the mirror in the hotel, and I do that. I share it on Instagram, but I like it because it's like the divider between the days and my photos. But I didn't use those for all of them. And some days, like this day, we went to the pool first. Obviously, I changed, but I just used that photo. This one, I took a photo in the mall. So I decided to use that one instead of the one in the hotel. And same for this one. I wanted to use one at the mosque because 1, I have so many photos I want to include from that day. And 2, that was the only time you could see me with my headscarf too, which is what I wore at the mosque. So those are all of the tags. And then the next step is going to be filling in the days. So I'm going to wrap this video up here because I feel like it's been really long, and I will share how I go about doing that in the next video. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thanks. Bye.